Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pickdawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Wednesday, December 7th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bet, you can always find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. I run a $15 daily college basketball bank shop best bet. We're actually hitting them at a great rate this season. We're 20-8 so far. We'll see what happens on Tuesday night. But 71%, I believe, so far this season. So check those out if you're interested. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Wednesday, December 7th. First up, we see Loyola Marymount taking on Grand Canyon. This one's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time on ESPN+. It is really tough to beat Grand Canyon at home, and I like them in this spot laying the points against Loyola Marymount. You know, Loyola Marymount defensively just not good enough, in my opinion. Ranked 163rd in adjusted defensive efficiency. They're ranked 219th in effective field goal percentage defense. Not the best on the perimeter as well. They do take quite a bit of fouls on defense as well. And, you know, Grand Canyon, a good defensive rebounding team. They're ranked 83rd in adjusted defensive efficiency. They force you to take a lot of tough shots. And Loyola Marymount is not really scared to take those tough shots, as they do take a lot of three-point jumpers, but Grand Canyon is good on the perimeter. Like I said, they can collect on the defensive glass, and I think at home here, where, you know, Grand Canyon has 2 losses on the season, but both of those were not at home. One was at a neutral site, one was a true road game, and both of those games were against tough teams, better teams than Loyola Marymount in Nevada and Wichita State. So I like Grand Canyon in this spot. I expect a pretty packed gym at home for the Antelopes in this one, so give me Grand Canyon laying the points. Next up, we see UConn taking on Florida. This one's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time on ESPN2. And, you know, Florida is off to a 6-3 start to the year, but I think this is a really talented team overall. And when you look at UConn, yes, they are perfect on the season, 9-0. They're number 4 in KenPom, number 5 in the AP polls. Their last 4 games, they've won against top 50 teams in KenPom in Oregon, Alabama, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State. But this is their first true road game of the season, facing a really talented team that I think is flying under the radar because of their few losses to start the year. Colin Castleton remains one of the better players, one of the better forwards in college hoops, in my opinion, especially in the SEC. And this is actually a pretty talented backcourt that Florida has. I would like to see if Kyle Lofton's going to return for this game. He is a big piece for this team. He's missed the last couple of games, but I do expect he will be back. He was day-to-day the last couple of games, but Will Richard was back in action against Stetson in his most recent game. Was excellent from the perimeter in that one on the season, just shooting under 60% from 3. Certainly those numbers are going to regress towards the mean just a little bit. I would say a lot of bit, but still a really good perimeter shooting team that Florida has, ranked 32nd in the country in three-point shooting, and that was a big thing that Florida struggled with last year. They were ranked 317th in the nation in three-point shooting. Myron Jones had a really bad year from the perimeter, and overall the Gators have really improved, I think, in that aspect especially, but even on the defensive glass, where the Gators also struggled, they're starting to pick up the defensive rebounds a lot better rate this season, ranked 64th in the country. I like Todd Golden as a coach. I think this Gators team is really talented, and with this being the first true road game of the season for UConn in a tough environment against another Power 5 team, I think Florida at least covers the number. If not, maybe pulls off the big-time upset. So give me the Florida Gators here plus the points. Next up, we see Dayton taking on Virginia Tech. This one's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time on ACC Network. I think this is a classic letdown spot for Virginia Tech and a good buy low spot for Dayton. I really like this Virginia Tech team, but they're coming off that big emotional win over their rivals in North Carolina, and now they're 8-1 to start the season. I do think the value is off them just a little bit, and you got Dayton, who going into the year was ranked 24th in KenPom, and I still think this is a very good Dayton team, an experienced Dayton team as well. And they suffered, 3 losses in a row in that non-conference tournament: Wisconsin, NC State, and BYU, all at a neutral site. But this is a very good defensive team. They're ranked 37th in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency. They're good on the perimeter, which is real important against Virginia Tech, a team that excels from shooting from the perimeter and did so against North Carolina in that win. They were 37%, 7 of 19 from 3. But, I think Dayton, this is a good spot to get them at a really good price. We weren't expecting a price like this when we saw this matchup listed on the schedule at the beginning of the year. And I think, because of Dayton's struggles, they're off the back-to-back wins now, and they look pretty good in those games, even though they were against some weaker opponents in Western Michigan and Southeastern Louisiana, Selah. But I still think Dayton's a good enough team to compete in this matchup, and because of the recent performances from both of these teams, we're getting a really good number. So give me Dayton here plus the points. Next up, we see St. John's hosting DePaul. This one's going to be an official conference game in the Big East Conference. It's going to be a 6:30 Eastern start time on Fox Sports 1. You know, in St. John's last game against Iowa State, we faded St. John's because it just wasn't a really good matchup for them. They were on the road for the first time this season. We know they don't really play well away from home. Last year, they only won 3 road games. They were playing a team in Iowa State that is a really different style of team. They like to slow things down. They're really strong defensively. St. John's likes to speed things up. The number 2 in the nation in average possession length on offense. So, and it was also St. John's going into that game was undefeated. So the value for them really just wasn't there, and the price was gone. But now off of a loss in conference play here back at home, I like St. John's and laying the points here against DePaul, who, you know, at 5-3 this season, but we really know they struggle in conference play. They've been really good at non-conference action the last few seasons, but once they get to Big East play, this has been one of the worst Big East teams in the conference in the last decade or so, and it was definitely the case last year where DePaul opened non-conference play. They were 9-1 to start the season. They enter into Big East play. They end the season with a 15-15 record, and they were 6-14 in Big East play. They played against St. John's on the road last year in an 89-84 final score, but part of that was because of the really good shooting numbers for DePaul in that game. I don't think that's going to be the case in this one. I do think DePaul isn't as good as last year's team, honestly, and I do think St. John's, off of that loss, looking for that bounce-back spot, I think they're just too much here. So give me St. John's laying the points in this Big East battle. Next up, our final game for Wednesday's card in college hoops. It's between Pittsburgh and Vanderbilt. 9 o'clock Eastern start time, SEC Network for this one. You know, Pittsburgh's off a back-to-back road upset wins. Their 3rd straight road game as a dog in this spot as well. I don't like this matchup for Pittsburgh. Even though they pulled off those big-time wins, they've looked good as of late. 5 straight wins for them straight up, and their defense has held up well. They've really benefited from some, I would say, unsustainably good shooting performances, especially in that Northwestern game where they shot 14 of 22 from 3, 64% from the perimeter. Just not going to be the case most games, and especially against a Vanderbilt team that's really good defending the perimeter, ranked 42nd in the country in 3-point defense. You know, Vanderbilt is battle-tested. They played a lot of good teams, even though they haven't played some of the top 25 teams in the country. They played Memphis, Southern Miss, Temple, St. Mary's, Fresno State, VCU, Wofford. These are really solid programs, whether they're in bigger conferences or in the mid-major conferences. But, you know, Vanderbilt at home is tough to beat. Yes, they've had to replace a lot of scoring production from last year's team when they had Scottie Pippen. He went to the NBA, and now he's in the G League. But, you know, even though the offense hasn't been great to start the season, their defense has been solid, and I like their chances in this matchup to get a feel-good win, take down Pittsburgh, who I think the value's gone from them after their 2 big upset wins. Give me the Vanderbilt Commodores here, laying the points to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday, December 7th in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave that like and subscribe, and don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, including that $15 bank shot best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.